Welcome back to the Mathews Show. I really enjoyed that conversation with Nikki Johns. In fact, during the break, I mentioned to her that we'll have her back and we'll have a conversation about cybersecurity, which I know if you're a business owner, it's on everybody's minds. By the way, I like that name, Nikki Johns. It sounds like some kind of a designer or something, or maybe a famous golfer. It's a cool name, Nikki Johns. Speaking of cool names, we're going to now be joined by my friend Morgan Bogolin, who is a nonprofit professional. She works with the Boys and Girls Club. She's actually the Senior Director of Operations. Actually, is that what your title is today? Morgan? Yeah, the last time we talked, you had a different role, so you continue to go up there. It's not surprising to me, but anyway, welcome back to my show, buddy.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm glad to be here.
It's good to see you. Okay, so you're a One Coast Award winner, and you also recently wrote a column as part of the Next Up column, this relationship that the Coast Young professionals have with SuperTalk Mississippi Media and SuperTalk News. I'm excited about that. But let's talk about your Coast Young your Coast One Coast Award first. I mentioned to you when we were just getting started before that we actually went on the air that I was touched incidentally by I was sitting there with a group right at the front of the group at the Beau Rivage when you came up, and you had your daughter with you who just turned 7, and she's such a doll, but she had more than her 15 minutes of fame as a result of that. But I thought it was cool that you brought her with you.
Yes. Amira Rain is my daughter, and I was telling you on the break, she's been there through all of it. She was 5 months old when I started working for Boys and Girls Club, so she's been through my bachelor's with me. We got her a shirt when I graduated with my master's that said, "I survived my mom's master's degree," because she was right there with me, learning to read in kindergarten with human capital development books. And so she's been a club kid since she was a baby, learned to walk in a Boys and Girls Club. I have a video of her learning in Pastor Shan how to walk with some of the club kids cheering her on in the background. And she's a club kid through and through. And so anything that I'm doing in the community, anything that she can be a part of, she wants to be a part of it. So I asked Adele, I said, would it be okay if she came up with me? And she got up there and she shook hands. And she worked it.
Well, hey, when you say she works it, it's rare for a 7-year-old to be so aware of the moment. That's the thing that was so impressive, that she is, she never meets a stranger. She has a glow about her. So, I mean, obviously she's a chip off the old block, but the reality is she is someone who has a lot of your outgoing personality, a lot of your ability to sort of connect with people. And she's already sort of demonstrating that at a very young age.
Yeah. And everyone says that, their kid is special. And she really is. When she meets people, there's something about her aura that people are drawn to it. And she's very aware of what's going on. She wants to talk about politics and all types of things with me. And so when we were at that event, he said, are you comfortable with it? And she said, yeah. And she sat and she watched intently. I think I was the 3rd or 4th person to be called, and she watched exactly what they did. And when she got up there, she did exactly what they did. And the execs that were up there, their face, whenever she put out her little hand to shake their hands, they were all like, what do we do? But she's a special kid. I'm excited to see what she wants to do when she grows up. Right now, she's leaning towards an entrepreneur pilot. Yeah. So we're thinking maybe get a pilot license and then open an airline. We're going to dream big.
Hey, listen, I remember as a publisher of the newspaper, and early in my career, I was involved in a lot of really important, events. And obviously Katrina and the aftermath of Katrina was one of them. My youngest son, Justin, and for people who know Justin, they'll know what I'm about to say, but I would say, well, where's Justin? If we were having an event, like I remember once we had a get together at my house related to the governor's commission, and the governor Haley Barbour was there, and I said, where's Justin? They said, well, he's at the front door greeting people. I mean, he was, just this young dude, and he just felt so comfortable. He would take the purses and put the purses on the bed, and he was just greeting people. While the rest of, my other kids are terrific too. One's a lawyer now, and one's a teacher, but Justin always just had this thing that was, drawn to people. So I think it actually says a lot about you, Morgan, as a mother, and I congratulate you on so far so good for you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. She's going into second grade now. And so we did her gifted testing a couple weeks ago. But at the end of the school last year, she was finishing off first grade and is actually reading on almost a sixth grade level, a fifth grader in their 11th month. And so
wow.
she's rocking it. I'm excited to see what the future holds for her.
But as you pointed out, a lot of her development has come from, riding your coattail right there at the Boys and Girls Club. But what I rode by there recently, actually. I had to go somewhere and I rode by there. Man, we are fortunate to have that facility, aren't we?
Yeah. We're just constantly growing. This summer we were bursting at the seams with kids. And we're really fortunate to have a program like this on the coast, and our work with teens. That's what my article was about with the Next Up column. We're really making a difference, not just for those young kids that need somewhere safe after school, but the kids as they get older and they're needing a plan for the future. And what am I going to do after I leave here?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, man, the influences on people's lives. Here's the thing: when I was in New Orleans as the publisher of the Times-Picayune and NOLA.com, I had many conversations with the mayor of New Orleans at the time, Mitch Landrieu, and big challenges in the community, just huge challenges in the community. But usually it's centered back to if there's a parent or grandparents or parents involved in someone's life, you got a better chance of moving them along. But if you don't have those things present, then there has to be some community resource that takes over, that keeps the kids busy, that keeps them involved, or else they're going to find their development, but it's going to be from the wrong people. We may not be able to save the world, but man, we can save a child one at a time. And you see it through the Boys and Girls Club constantly, don't you?
Yeah. Absolutely. And we're a nonprofit agency, and we go after funding that is reaching those kids. That is our target. We have a really great program right now called the Impact Mentoring Program, where schools are referring their kids that they're like, okay, this is a kid that needs some intervention, and we're targeting middle school. And we've seen this uptick in youth violence on the coast, and we're like, we got to do something about this, because these things, these kids are going through a lot of trauma, and there's a lot of risk factors in our communities. But Boys and Girls Club has really been able to be a protective factor and to give those resources and those skills and those tools that kids are needing to be able to combat what's around them every day.
Well, so Morgan, you've been there for a while, and so you have a sense of this. But one of the things the mayor used to always talk to me about is that you don't have the Crips and Bloods of the old days. What you have is more of a neighborhood-based deal, and in some cases, the people that these young people are getting their guidance from are incredibly violent, and some of the young people don't even expect to live till tomorrow. I mean, that's the level of violence that they're engaged with. Are you amazed at what's happened over the course of, say, the last 5 or 6, 7 years in terms of guns and drugs and alcohol and all this stuff that young people are exposed to?
Absolutely. I think, I'm only 28. And so I get to talk, and sometimes they're like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. But, I think with the way that the world is moving, there's a lot more of the protective factors that have to be strengthened. But beyond that, and I referenced this in the Next Up article as well, COVID exacerbated a lot for our kids.
Yeah.
That was something that, parents didn't know how to deal with, much less kids. And so the effects that we've seen in youth violence and teen suicides, it's been appalling, the rates that even in Mississippi, even here on the Gulf Coast. I think sometimes we think it's not a coast problem, but I'm here to tell you that it is. And these kids need support, and not just from us. We do the best to offer wraparound services, to partner with other local agencies, so we're not duplicating the services or reinventing the wheel. We do a lot to try to address, if it's mental health, if it's homelessness, if it's food insecurity, what's causing these behaviors of this child, and we've seen success with it.
Yeah, I bet as a professional engaged in it every day, when there's incredible success and you see a child sort of get beyond it and not get sucked into the vortex of the negativity of all that, you celebrate. And when you find someone that you just love that can't find their way out, I bet it's the saddest thing. But you have to live with those highs and lows in your world, don't you?
You do. You absolutely do. And we've been, very, very blessed to be able to connect with our kids and stay connected with them, even after they leave the club. But you take it personally, whether you mean to or not. On this side, I'm no longer in direct service, seeing kids every single day. But it hurts. It hurts whenever you lose a child, or whether that be, to the streets or to jail. It hurts. And so we make sure that we connect with those families, even because chances are there's going to be little brothers and sisters that are in the house that we can reach.
We're coming to the end of this segment, but when we come back on the other side, we'll continue this conversation with Morgan Bogolin about what drives her to want to give back to the community. We'll see you after this. Welcome back to the Ricky Mathews Show. I have my friend Morgan Bogolin on the show today. She's a One Coast Award winner. She actually recently contributed sort of the next installment of the Next Up column coming from the Coast Young Professionals. She's only 28 years old, but she's lived a life and has seen a lot for a young person, and so she has a perspective about things. One of the things that, first of all, is you can tell from just having the conversation with Morgan, you can tell she is incredibly committed to what she's doing. And it will be very interesting watching you as you continue to develop and make your contribution, and it'd be interesting to see what you evolve into doing with your life. But one of the things that is for sure, for a young person to understand giving back to the community beyond even your work you do at the Boys and Girls Club is important. It's rare to see someone so committed at your age. And this is not something that just occurred. You've been engaged for many years. Where did that come from, Morgan?
I think a lot of it came from my family. My grandmother was an educator for decades. And so I always said I didn't want to have kids. I wasn't going through that. And then here I am working on behalf of kids every day. But I will say, in addition to my family and then just, the spirit that God put in me, it's having a mentor that really has poured into me and as someone to look up to. So, just one of those mentors over the course of my work with Boys and Girls Club has been our CEO, Kiva Scott. And she's been in this movement for close to 30 years now, and seeing her trajectory and the impact that she's made all over the Southeast has really pushed me to want to be more and to want to give back more. And so I would say kind of those natural things that I was born with, but also the people that I've had around me to support me, as I grew up.
Hey, listen, you referred to your column that's literally up at SuperTalk Mississippi News as we speak. And it's the name of the column, this coordination with the Coast Young Professionals Next Up. And the name of your column is Future Should Be Focused on Empowering the Next Generation. Now, you alluded to this a bit a few minutes ago, but one of the things that I said a lot after Hurricane Katrina is that one of the things that we learned is that the vulnerabilities in a community. So think about this. A community hits on a bunch of different dimensions. Some they have success with, some they don't have success with. But the reality is, even the things they're having success with, they don't stay focused on those things. They will not have success. So you have to hit on a lot of cylinders to succeed in a community. The things that you're not having success with sort of represent vulnerabilities in the community. And what happens when a disaster hits is that all the vulnerabilities are now in full view. Essentially everything that's near the edge is over the edge now. And we saw that with the pandemic. Pandemic was a disaster in and of itself. It's a different kind of a disaster from, say, a tornado or a hurricane. But what it reveals about our vulnerabilities is the same. And so you have these issues with kids not going to school and looking to where they're going to get their leadership from because they've got too much time on their hands. And, the list goes on and on. A lot of research has been done about this. But we have to be focused on these vulnerabilities, and what we do to prepare our young people around this is really important, isn't it?
Yeah, it absolutely is. And I think a lot of the time, when we're trying to get people to really connect with the mission, some people, kids and youth development is not their thing. And so when we hit it kind of from this, what are the economic implications? Because people are going to be interested, in that type of thing. And so, like you said, whenever the pandemic hit, we really, really saw it amplify. We saw those communities that were already vulnerable face more obstacles. And so when we look at, the programs and the grants that we're going after, it's research based. And we know these things to be true. We know that mentors work. We know that connecting with someone works, that's what gangs are built off of, is that connection. And I'm a part of something. And, economically, the reduction of teen pregnancies, the reduction of juvenile incarcerations, it has really severe economic implications as well. And so if we can get those kids on the right track, not only are you investing in them, but you're investing in your community.
Yeah. Hey, there's some great conversations happening around workforce development in this state. You think about Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College, over 50% of the students at Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College are in non-traditional education now. And you think about reaching out to the Ingalls and the Chevrons and all these major industries, this whole notion around workforce development. But here's what you wrote, though. While millennials are currently the trending topic, Gen Z is coming in hot, and we must equip them with the skills needed to be successful. A robust future economy will depend highly on today's youth having the skills to secure jobs and become productive members of society. Research shows that connecting young people to workforce increases their likelihood. I mean, it seems so basic, but at the end of the day, we are not as focused on it as we should be, are we?
Yeah, and I agree with you. There's some great conversations going on right now. We went up to Jackson for an advocacy day and met with a lot of our representatives and our legislators. And I think that they're recognizing that. I think that's something that MGCCC is a great partner of ours and doing great work on. And that connection between, here you are inside of the club and what am I going to do after this? But those experiences, those internships, they're all so valuable.
Well, Morgan Bogolin from Boys and Girls Club, recent One Coast Award winner. It's been great to catch up with you. Hey, when we have you back in a few weeks, we'll invite you back, and we'll really zero in on the Boys and Girls Club and talk about what's happening there these days. Summer is always busy, busy, busy for you guys.
That time.
Congratulations, and congratulations on being such a wonderful mother. It's wonderful to see that. What a great inspiration you create for others by embracing your daughter in that way and helping her be successful at such a young age. It's great to see. It's been a pleasure to focus on One Coast today. We will see you tomorrow. Have a great day.